Hi everybody, I'm Dan Hilton, and this is the Barcelona Podcast YouTube exclusive. A little different of an intro because this is part 2 of our 2-part series of the names you need to know that are wearing new jerseys in the Liga this season. If you didn't see part 1, you can check up here, click on that, and then come back here for the other 10 teams. If you've already done your homework, let's get started. Let's pick up part 2 where we left off in part 1, in northern Spain, with another team without a lot to spend. Sevilla's signing of Jean Jordan means that Eibar lost arguably their best player, and replacing him is going to be difficult. 23-year-old Edu Exposito was bought from Deportivo La Coruña to help out in the center of the field, and Takashi Inui makes his return to Eibar from Real Betis to add some creativity in the attack. Alvaro Tejero, a right-back from Real Madrid Castilla, signed on a free transfer and is looking like a solid pickup in the early part of the season. The right back spot is his to lose, and for Eibar, they're going to need all the help that they can get. Bottom of the table through 3 games doesn't mean relegation is in a team's future, but it's not a place that Leganés would like to be. Their big off-season business consisted of making Martin Braithwaite's loan from Middlesbrough permanent and giving the same treatment to Kenneth Amaro from Chelsea. The team from the outskirts of Madrid reinforced its defense by adding 2 starters on the outside, with left back Jonathan Silva coming in from Sporting CP and right back Roberto Rosales joining from Malaga. The biggest additions were the 2 loans for the midfield, defensive midfielder Roque Mesa from Sevilla and attacking midfielder Oscar Rodriguez from Real Madrid. In the early going, it looks like all 6 of these players will need to bring their best this season to help Leganés survive the drop. Though their play through the first 3 games of the season doesn't show it, Real Betis looked on paper to be a team ready to compete for a spot in Europe. Adding attacking midfielder Nabil Fekir from Lyon might be the most impressive pickup outside of the big 3 teams. He already has 2 goals through 3 games and is forming a decent partnership with striker Lauren Morón. That could prove problematic for Real Betis' other big signing, no pun intended, striker Borja Iglesias. Iglesias was injured to start the season, but should dispel Morón if the incumbent has trouble scoring. The back line is sporting some new names as well, with Alfonso Pedraza coming in on loan from Villarreal to replace Junior Firpo. Emerson, who joined the club last winter after he was jointly bought by Real Betis and Barcelona, is now the regular starting right back. 21-year-old goalkeeper Danny Martin from Sporting Gijón got some looks in net to start the season, but he will be the backup to Joel Robles this season. Now for a team that may not have done enough. Villarreal needed to strengthen their squad after fighting off relegation last season. They reinforced their defense with 33-year-old Raúl Albiol back in La Liga after a half-decade at Napoli, and Alberto Moreno back in La Liga after a half-decade at Liverpool. Moreno was grabbed on a free transfer, so that was a good piece of business. Club captain Mario Gaspar has a hold of the right-back spot. So the splashing 8 million euros on right-back Ruben Peña from Eibar is a puzzling choice, though, at this point. Some good bargains were found in the Segunda division as well, bringing in wingers Moy Gomes from Sporting Gijón and Javi Monteveros from Malaga. Those 7.5 million euros for Ontiveros might not actually be a bargain. Moy Gomes coming from Sporting Gijón so far has looked like one of Real's most important players. We'll stay in the Valencia region but move to rival Levante. Another team in a potential relegation fight, their 3 biggest signings strengthen the spine of the team. There's no denying that. Centre-back Ruben Vesso may not have needed to change his address in coming over from Valencia for 5 million euros and instantly slotted into a starting spot. It seems like Paco Lopez will be employing a 4-4-2 and one of Sergio Leon from Real Betis or Boya Moral on loan from Real Madrid will be occupying at one of the front spots alongside Roger Martí, with the other oftentimes coming off the bench. Moral is still only 22 and doesn't ever look to be in the plans at the Bernabeu, but a successful loan at Levante, one that helps keep him in the top flight, could jumpstart his career. This next one is an odd one. Let's talk Real Valladolid, who used some good play in the first half of last season to survive some rough results in the second half. They enhanced their team with one of the top youngsters in Spain last season, in 19-year-old Pedro Porro from Girona. Except he isn't on loan from Girona, he's on loan from Manchester City, who own a large stake of the Spanish club. Porro was valued at 10 million euros on transfermarkt.com and was sold to the Premier League giants for 12 million. Yes, that is a slight profit, but I wonder if Girona had the option of seeing themselves if they could fetch anything more than that on the open market for, again, one of the top youngsters in Spain. Now, to be clear, I would criticize this kind of move if Barcelona did it too, but maybe it is, again, just a little bit of jealousy as well that Man City has this option. Now, none of this really affects Real Valladolid, who just capitalized on that and 2 other loans to improve their squad. Good pieces of business for Real Valladolid. Ukraine's Andriy Lunin showed both last year at Leganés and then at the U20 World Cup that he is one of the top young goalkeepers in the world, and we'll see if he can displace old La Masia product Jordi Masip in net. The other La Masia product joining Valladolid is Sandro Ramirez from Everton, who just can't seem to get his career on track after a number of failed moves after leaving the Camp Nou. Let's keep up our theme of talking former La Masia players, but time to change the tune to something more hopeful. Denis Suarez has gone home to Celta de Vigo, his boyhood club, and he has started his return to Galicia with some wonderful football. He's gone the full 90 in all 3 games so far, playing well against Real Madrid and Valencia and bagging the late equalizer versus Sevilla. Also returning home was Santi Mina from Valencia. It's a good piece of business for Celta as the 23-year-old is a versatile attacker who got 13 goals and 6 assists last season in an ever-changing role with Valencia. The deadline day move was acquiring Rafinha from Barcelona. Not only does he reunite with Denis Suarez, but a healthy Rafinha could compete with Iago Aspas for the club's best player. Celta's other notable signing was 23-year-old center-back Joseph Aidoo from Genk in Belgium. He cost almost 10 million euros and looks to be ready to step in as one of the starters along the back line. Barcelona has already gotten a good look at a bunch of Osasuna's recruits for this season of La Liga. Chimi Avila, with his Alexis Sanchez shorts, was bought from San Lorenzo in Argentina for what could be a steal of 2.7 million euros. He impressed last season on loan at Huesca, but this could be the breakout campaign for the 25-year-old. Ruben Garcia, on loan at Osasuna last year from Levante, has his move made permanent, and likewise for Brandon from Rennes in France. Left-back Pervis Estupinan, on loan from Watford, and La Masia product Marc Cardona should also be important players for the side. Granada hasn't looked too shabby after their promotion, and while Darwin Machis from Udinese, who spent last spring at Cadiz, isn't a flashy name, he's already proved his worth to the club. Centre-back Domingos Duarte from Sporting CP, Jan Bryce from Sevilla, and Roberto Soldado, yes, that Roberto Soldado, are all already playing major roles for Granada, while I expect Angel Herrera, on loan from Manchester City, and Maxime Gonalons, a late addition on loan from Roma, very well could be the regular starters in the defensive midfield spots after too long. As I said at the start of this project, picking 3 was going to get impossible with some of these teams, and Granada is no exception, even though a lot of their players came on very cheap deals. Fortunately, we wrap up with promoted side Mallorca. The most important moves the clubs made were to sign forward Ante Berdemir and center-back Martin Vagen, both on loan last season in the Segunda Division on permanent contracts. Of the 3 promoted sides, Mallorca probably had the most upgrades to make, after making 2 successive jumps up from the Segunda Division and then into the Liga, and they hope that they did just that with the free transfer of Elis Febas, the Catalan central midfielder from Real Madrid Castilla, who spent last season on loan at Albacete. Febas is 23 years old and has already had both hot and cold moments in his first 3 games in the top division. The biggest names to come to the club this summer came on loan. I have to break my rule about not talking about him on the podcast or the YouTube channel and mention that former La Masia starlet Takefusa Kubo, who joins from Real Madrid on loan, immediately becomes the club's best player with the ball at his feet, and will be a starter or act as a super sub. That is remained to be seen. Chucho Hernandez, who played for Huesca last season on loan from Watford, is back on loan for a promoted side after 4 goals and 3 assists in 34 appearances last year. Mallorca is hoping the 20-year-old Colombian can improve on that total. It took 2 videos, but we did it. My picks for the biggest names at new clubs in a wild transfer window. As always, if there's a player you think I missed, leave that name down in the comments below, and if you like what you saw, keep checking this channel for more videos like it, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time, Forza Barca.